Right off the bat, my back is doing much better, guys, and I want to thank every one of you guys for the warm comments you left on it, which you'll probably be seeing me answer them anyway, because maybe this evening or even tomorrow I'll be down in my production room doing the editing, answering the comments, and probably some green screen videos. So yeah, I'll be off the deck because my back is better enough to basically sit in that office seat, which is a hand-me-down from my son Justin, and I'm able enough to handle the stairs. And also, my back might be better enough to actually go on my normal 5 miles tomorrow for my walk. I've been doing half my walk. But anyway, let's get to what this video is about. Today I want to talk about the imagination. Okay? Our imagination. I want to talk about how vivid, how wild, how crazy, how silly our imagination can be. Mine or even yours. Let's get started. I should have made that little intro of Stormy barking a little bit longer, you know. I don't know if I ever told you guys, I tried to get the full body part in, but when she barked, she moved forward, so that's why I only got part of the, well, anyway, let's get started anyway, okay? The imagination. Now, today's video is going to be probably, I'm going to be doing videos more than likely, at least 2 or 3 more just like this one. And you'll see why in a little bit. And personally, I had to think this through. Did I want to do a video like this? I mean, I was like, how would it relate to others? And I got to sitting there thinking, I was like, I don't really think there's a video out there of basically what I'm going to talk about. I don't think there is one out there on YouTube, and it might be kind of cool to basically tell my perspective on what I do, and maybe get your all's perspective, which we'll get to that at the end of this video. So let's start. Today, I want to talk about imaginations and what does one person think about before they go to sleep. Okay, that's what I want to talk about. I just noticed the damnedest thing in my tree, and after looking at it, I know what it is. It's a banana peel. But why is it hanging on a tree branch in my tree? Let's back this out a little bit. The damnedest things we see, huh? When we go to bed at night, we usually think things before we go to sleep. You remember our parents used to tell us to count sheep, which, by the way, never works, at least for me. Now, some people have a gift that they could check their problems at the foot of their bed, and the second their head hits that pillow, they're out like that. My wife happens to be one of them. Then you got some people like me that takes their problems to bed and then toss and turn and can't sleep because they're worried about something that hasn't happened yet. That's me. So on occasions, actually not on occasions, scratch that. What I do from now on, I've been doing this for a long time, I create another world before I go to sleep. Yeah, I live in 2 worlds, guys. One in my mind and one in reality. Okay, I'm gonna break out of the video for a second. I've been doing videos for so many years, and it always makes me laugh when other people walking down my street, because I live on a busy road, when they hear me and see me talking to a camera. If they don't know what I do by now, they probably do. They will figure it out eventually. Yeah, and what I always tell people, I was like, it's for YouTube. I run a YouTube channel. This is what I do. This is what I've been doing coming up on 9 years. But anyway, let's get back to what I'm talking about. I create another world when I sleep. I do. In other words, I live in the world I'm in now. This is reality. And I create something that's completely weird. And it's enough to relaxes me enough to be able to go to sleep. And I'm going to tell these different realities because I have more than one. I have several of them. So, I mean, lots of them. But I'm going to tell you my 4 favorite ones I create. And this is what I think about before I go to sleep. I'm going to tell you how vivid, how whacked my imagination is. And guys, the cool thing about this is, I live in another world for that 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour before I fall asleep. I live in another world. What I'm about to tell you, very few people know I do this. My wife is one, and maybe a good friend of mine by the name of Scarlett. That's only 2 people. Now, all of you guys are going to know. Now, before I go to sleep, one of my realities I create. Now, you got to remember, when you use your imagination to create a reality, it could be anything. Anything. The whole purpose is you want to create something that relaxes you. So I create a scenario that's just as real to me before I'm going to sleep as me talking to you right now. And I had lots of practice at this, by the way, because when I was a kid, we'll get to that at the end of the video, okay? This might be a long video. Let's get to my alternate reality. That's it. Alternate reality. Mike, put that down. Alternate reality. I might use that for the title. Alternate reality at bedtime. Yeah. So what I do is, one of my realities is when my head hits that pillow and I say I love you to my wife and good night, I take myself into one of my realities. And one of my realities is an outer space, flying in a spaceship called Starship Magpie, similar to Star Trek, very similar to Star Trek. I wonder how I ended up with this, right? Very similar to Star Trek, but the only difference is how the spaceship was created and what I'm doing up there, and the whole persona of the whole thing is very similar to Star Trek, but very different too, because this is where my imagination comes into play. Let me tell you about the Starship first, okay? Now, you guys, some of you guys might think I'm a little whacked, but just bear with me. Like I told you, I have one hell of a imagination, especially when I go to sleep or before I go to sleep. One of my scenarios are, well, how the Starship got built was, you remember how the Lord got a hold of Noah to build the ark? Well, in my scenario, in my made-up world, the Lord got a hold of me and says, build a spaceship. Not because he's going to flood the world, not because he's going to destroy the world. He just had me build a spaceship. So, see, I have to create everything as it happens in my scenarios. Or, hi Stormy. Or in my thought pattern when I think of these things up. So the Lord, in my sleep, gave me the directions and gave me the know-how to build a spaceship that holds 100 to 150 people, and somehow I built this. And just like Noah's Ark, the Lord provided the wood for it. And somehow, just like with my spaceship, he provided whatever it is I needed. Now, for me to go through outer space, I also changed the little things on that too. Everything's done magnetized. You know how you take a magnet, and since this whole world we live in right now is part of a magnet anyway, but you know how you take a magnet and one magnet will go to the other magnet? Well, that's how the spaceship is. That's how it's propelled. If I said that, is that the right way to put this? Well, who cares if it isn't? But that's how it moves. And it could go up to speeds faster than the speed of sound. In other words, I could be on one side of the galaxy, and I could pass through a wormhole that's created by the spaceship into another part of the galaxy. So, now you kind of got the general idea of my spaceship. And on this spaceship is some of my closest friends, my family, and what the heck are you chewing on? Oh, you found you a stick. Sorry. She found her a stick. Okay, Stormy. Yes, you're on my spaceship in my dreams too. Or in my thought pattern. I can't rightfully say this is a dream because it's just my alternate reality I think about before I go to sleep. So on the spaceship, like I said, family and friends, and I even have Stormy. There's even a place where Stormy can play, and there's even trees and grass on the spaceship. There's even a place I walk at. Oh yes, and I fly the spaceship along with other people to help fly the spaceship. And the cool thing is, I seem to know everything about the spaceship because the Lord put it in my head. I mean, something breaks down, either I can rebuild it or I can fix it. So now we have the platform. You guys know what my thought pattern is, and so what I do is I create different scenarios in my spaceship of different things that happen on my flight through outer space. So basically what I do is I go through outer space, and what I like to do in my mind is I like to create a scenario where I meet other people, maybe aliens. So I'm going to tell you one of my scenarios that I went through, that I played through my head. We go through outer space and we encounter an alien. But instead of actually stopping our spaceships and shaking hands, how you do, they came upon me at warp speed and fired upon me, then took back out again. Then what I do is I figure out who that alien was. What was their spaceship like? What did it look like? Did I get somehow pictures? And I spend my whole time before I go to sleep figuring this out in my head. What instruments I use, the people I would talk to, how I came up with, in other words, I play it out like it's real life. And before you know it, I fall asleep. And then the next night, I add to the story, or I go to another scenario, which we'll get on to tomorrow, of another made-up world that I put myself in before I go to bed. This may sound silly to most of you guys, but this relaxes me, is to basically make up a whole different universe that I live in, and I actually do this all in my head. Now, I got real good at this because as a child, I had a horrible childhood. I lay that on the ground. I lay that out right now. My childhood could have been better. And sometimes things would happen in my childhood that would make me so scared or terrified, I would take my thought patterns, I put them somewhere else. In other words, I would basically remove myself from that scenario and put my thought patterns into a different reality. And I would even do this like going fishing. I would basically go fishing and I would paint a picture that I'm basically trying to survive. I'm on a desert island and I'm here fishing, and that always kind of took my mind from the reality I was in, which was sometimes pretty scary. One of the things about me is, and I've been so good at this, is coming up with different, it's my thought pattern, how I'm able to basically just do these things. And guys, I'm telling you, before I go to sleep, this is about as real to me as me talking to you right now. Oh yeah, I try to make it as real, even though there's no freaking way we're going to have a spaceship and God's not going to come in my dreams and tell me how to build one, but I make it real. It relaxes me to the point where I'm able to fall asleep. But you would think I would dream about these things, wouldn't you? No. Never, ever, ever, out of all the scenarios I created, which we will be going through them throughout the rest of the week, out of all the scenarios do you see that bug fly up near there? Damn it, would you get away from me? That's a gnat. Out of all the scenarios I created, I've never, ever once dreamed about them. And of course, in my scenario of living in outer space on a spaceship, my spaceship is also suited with the best armor, the best fighting power you could possibly imagine. But I don't ever want to use it because I don't want to hurt others. I'm not out there to cause trouble. I'm out there to, is there life somewhere else? So I use it only for the last resort. And it's never to really harm others through my scenarios I come up with in my head. It's more or less along the lines as, hey, I'm capable of kicking your butt if I choose to, but I don't want to. That's just part of one scenario I come up with. Tomorrow's video, I will have another one. And it's a really good one. And I will take you guys to places where some of my mind goes before I go to bed. And maybe you'll see how whacked out, how much of a whack job I really am. And I seem to do better with these scenarios after I had a very stressful day with anxiety. Oh yeah. And I did this all the time as a kid. That's how I escaped my reality. I painted another reality and jumped into it. And it kind of helped me with the reality I was in. So guys, this is all I got for right now. Stay tuned for tomorrow's video. We'll talk about another reality I think up before I go to sleep. Like I said, I go through 4 or 5 of these. And sometimes I create a new one. So today is the first episode of the alternate reality of the spaceship. Tomorrow, I bring you another one, and we'll talk more about this reality. So guys, until tomorrow, thanks for watching. Start the comments going. You can make me a video and connect it to the comments. Make a video on YouTube and tell me about what you think about before you go to sleep. Or you can just leave it down in the comment area. I will eventually get to it. If I never get to your comments, understand this, I read every single one. So guys, until next time, come on, let's get out of here. And we'll see you tomorrow. Yeah!